So up next, we head to another topic related to architecture, this time on AI changing architecture and education, next steps and risk avoidance. A university assistant at TU Wien in the research area of real estate development, Mariya Korolova focuses on architecture, AI, and project development. Also a key player in the organization of today's very exciting event, which you are all part of. Please join me in making some noise and welcoming Mariya to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming here to our symposium and listening to such an inspiring talks. I would like to bring the parts of the architecture and intellectual property that were spoken before together, and also some of the aspects that are concerning risks or education comes to architecture, and speak about it from the perspective of architecture. So for now, I would like to ask you to imagine imagine if it works. Yes, imagine, it works too fast. Okay, I will talk from here. So, imagine an architect a decade ago, maybe like 5 decades ago, that is having his pencil, that is sitting next to the drawing board, that has a lot of different thoughts and different expectations and different feelings, and would like to realize and shape the future. And then, just a generation later, you can imagine this. An architect sitting in front of the screen, having overload of different data, overload of different softwares, overload of different type of applications, artificial intelligence, everything comes together, and what to do with that. So we are currently in this position, and a lot of people take that artificial intelligence might be as a threat to creatives. But my perspective on that is that it's not a threat, but it's actually an invitation. It is a call, together with the artificial intelligence, to relearn, to recreate, and to re-lead. So we can see that tools are not here just to assist us, but they're actually reshaping the way how we're thinking and how we are operating. With the artificial intelligence, what it helps us a lot, it's very good into taking repetitive tasks. It's very good into reducing repetitive drawing that we had before, if any change happens, or endless documentation, as well as it's helping us a lot with working through option over option over option, again and again and again, and working with different type of contracts, calculations, different checks, and different iterations of this type of documentation as well. And instead of that, it gives us a lot of time. It gives us potential to focus, to have more energy, and to have more space for using our resources and our budgets as well. And it gives us much more time for the creativity and much more space for that. But in the same time, it raises so many questions. The main questions I would address here is, if AI helped generate something, so who is the author of this? We already had to talk about it in the beginning a little bit. How to protect my data and how to protect my creations? What does originality even mean now in this age? What does that mean, creating something original? What is the architect's role now? So do we change our role? Do we adapt to that, or it's completely eliminated? And what skills are currently needed to be able to stay relevant and to succeed? We've seen that already in different creative industries, coming from the image, coming from the literature, music, from the writing, and they've experienced this type of wave and this type of shock much earlier than architecture. They've seen that AI was learning styles, that it was scrapping those styles, it was generating a lot of different type of contents. It was blurring the topics of the authorship, And that follows and that led for bringing new legal battles, different type of copyright models, new type of business strategies, how to approach that, and in the same time, it pushed and made the development of real working applications in their areas and in their domain. But in the same time, it also helped to observe that there are three big realities that with the technology, with artificial intelligence, it moves so fast. The development, appearance of new chips, appearance of more and more and more and more data, but the understanding of it is comparatively much, much, much slower. In the same time, the education and type of legalization for that is almost non-moving. It's almost just on the surface of trying to make first steps. But we also should consider that architecture is not just the content, it's not art or just an image or something like this. This is much more. It has aspects that are not related or not covered by artificial intelligence currently. For example, the aspects of the space. We've seen already on the presentation before that some of the spatial understanding might already appear there, but in the same time, there is no feeling of what does it mean the walls, what does it mean the room, where a person goes when it exits the door, does it still exist or no, where it also doesn't have a big consideration on the safety of the buildings, of the structure of the buildings, of different type of infrastructure that runs inside the walls, how all this connects together, about the human behavior, what actually human wants and needs, and what are they doing, and what is their life cycle, life story, how they're processing through the space and through their occupation of the space. And of course, a pretty important point is the culture, because artificial intelligence homogenizes quite a lot of inputs, and then we see that culture starts to fade away as well. An image, if we create an image, it can be wrong. It's not going to hurt much, but if we create the wrong building, that's going to be a disaster. So for the buildings, we have to be very careful on all those aspects. And we cannot just take any type of AI solutions from different industries and blindly implement them in our work. We must teach AI how architecture thinks, and of course, architects how AI works. Currently, the architectural role is not completely disappearing, but it's changing. It's changing from previously of how we had different type of tools, we were producing different type of drawings, and now this comes to the curators where we have to explain to the models, artificial intelligence, how to operate those things, how to operate those tools. And we are becoming translators who are now translating the human needs or what person wants in the space, what they need, how they go through their day in the space into different types of systems of how this correlates with each other. And then those type of systems, we take them and we bring them to spatial logic and how those spaces correspond with each other. And as well as we take the output from AI, and this is our job a lot, is to take it and to bring it to the meaningful decisions. So AI can suggest a lot, it can generate, it can optimize, but it doesn't care at all. And the decision and the responsibility stays at our side. And the risk of using AI is not in AI itself. It's a lot about using it without understanding it. We can see that in architecture, architects need quite a lot to focus on the AI literacy, to understand what is that in general, how does it work, to be able to prompt clearly, to be able to understand the logic behind the models, how they learn, to be able to create sometimes their own AIs or code their own AIs that can do specific purpose and can understand the logic that the creator wants. To be able to recognize hallucinations, so basically like when AI creates something that looks feasible, but in the same time we need to distinguish, is it still correct, is it right, or we need to do something about this result. To know where AI helps and where it can actually harm or slow down the process or jeopardize all the business or the building, and how to integrate it properly. And very important is to further develop critical thinking and the judgment. Because now with the AI we have so many results, but we need now to understand which results are good, which results are bad, how can we question all those things, which type of questions we need to pose to that to be able to evaluate it much better. And of course, ethical and legal framework that comes to this aspect. So architects don't have to become programmers themselves, but they have to be an informed decision makers about what do they do with the AI. Currently, there are about 12 threats that are in architecture can be observed with AI. Of course, it's in other industries as well. But for architecture, we can see that we are one of the threats is that we can lose our authorship. And then if we lose the authorship, this can bring that in the future we are completely losing the value of creative work, that we're losing professional recognition or copyright protection. In the case of data scraping and IP leakage, of course, it's unauthorized use or reuse of our data, and this brings us to loss of competitive advantage. With the model contamination and data poisoning, it can happen that somebody is doing it specifically to our models or to the models that they want to harm, and we also need to know how to avoid it, how to stop it. What are the safety issues there? Over-reliance with false confidence. And this we observed quite a big trend there. When in architecture, it happens that we have a beautiful result and then clients or architects themselves, they rely on this result as very plausible, but this doesn't mean that it's acceptable. There is also a problem with the speed without reflection. Again, very similar to this question. When there are so many possibilities of creating again and again and again and again, and then people try to reduce the amount of time that they spend in the office or the amount of time that they spend on the project, but this, if it's not done with the proper reflection, it brings to a lot of questions, to a lot of problems there. Homogenization of the design. It's when there is one domain style or same few of those styles, and then in the end everybody are producing in a similar style. It works with the data that it has been trained before, and it doesn't create something new and completely outstanding out of that. Another problem is the skill atrophy, is that architects start to rely on it much more, and then they lose their own skills that they had before. That's a questionable threat, because it's some skills, like for example, nobody is drawing with specific boards or with specific tools, their drawings, everybody are producing them in CAD programs, but still some of the skills should be lost, but some of the skills should be kept and taken care about. Black box decisions, that we don't know how AI took this decision and we cannot go back and circle back and understand what was the reasoning there. Lack of architectural logic behind of the models, because a lot of the models are not currently built on architectural logic. They're built on image logic or text to image or image to image. We have problems with the regulatory uncertainty. AI comes so fast that regulation cannot keep up with this speed. Then there is another question, is the unequal access and polarization, as we can see that some of the companies, especially big architectural companies that have a lot of employees there that can work on those topics, they have much higher access to progress in artificial intelligence, move further even more, but smaller offices without so much capacity, they are becoming even more behind with those questions. This can be as a threat. And the AI is a lot now currently, it's business-driven, but not design-driven. Because usually when people are trying to create different type of AIs, they're searching for investments, and investors want a return on investment, and they want something quick and fast, and not always things which we need to use in architecture will be very fast and quick paying off. We also should consider different ethical aspects of that, and one of the fear that is quite often there is that people are worried about being left behind. We can see that the market with AI is very big and it's running, but currently it's running quite blind. It's just trying different type of direction. Companies want AI, they try to bring it, they have demand for it, but they don't know what to do about it. They have fear about being left behind, but they don't know what to implement, where AI slows things down, where it helps, where it creates legal risk, and what actually adds value to them. And we've seen the story coming before several times already in evolution of architecture itself. And we've seen with the coming of new technologies, like when it came from the drawing stations to computer-aided design, to BIM, to parametric design, and now to artificial intelligence. In the beginning, a lot of more public, they fear, they have panic, they have resistance, then slowly resistance changes to adaptation. More and more of people and companies start to adopt it, and then later it comes to the acceleration of this process. This makes it much faster, much broader, and more powerful. But with the AI, one of the tricks is that it moves very fast, much more faster than it was moving before. So we see that artificial intelligence is not an IT problem. It is a problem of knowledge, and therefore it is the problem of education. For this, we need to be able to keep up with the speed and with all those questions and problems. We need to have a proper new university curriculums that can address those questions. We need to have a serious re-education for professionals who would like to address those issues and to go further into that. We need to have a good understanding of the business processes to be able to understand where to implement, where not to implement AI, and how to do that. And we need to have a good understanding of architectural logic in AI systems to be able to create proper AI for architecture. So architects who will understand AI, they will be able to shape it, but the ones who will not, they would need just to adapt to the existing systems that are there. So we see that AI is here, it's changing a lot, it's influencing us a lot, but still creativity stays human, responsibility stays human, and meaning stays human. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mariya, for that presentation. And I know you're all feeling very comfortable, very warmed up by now. So just put your hand up if you have a question. Perfect.
Hello, my name is Jakub. Thank you for the possibility to ask a question. I found your lecture very interesting, insightful. I have a question that we saw on the last page that we need, to address this AI race on many levels, either educate professionals already in the field, or also take new curriculum, the new study programs, or update them. So I would also use this possibility to ask the TU and the Faculty of Architecture, how is their approach? Would you say it's efficient, or are there any fast-moving steps forward, or is the race also tricky in this institution? Thank you for the...
So you want to know the insights, what is going on in the faculty behind
Yeah.
closed doors? Okay, I cannot tell you exactly a lot, but I can say that one of the issues that I see there is that it's very decentralized, and a lot of new ideas and initiatives are popping out on different places with different speeds. And if they would be joined together, and the approach will be a little bit more on the same level, that people can just gather, sit down around the round table, express what they know, what is their competence, what they think about, and then after this round table, this can be implemented, this can move much faster. Currently, it is a little bit more of a top-down approach, where there are some initiatives that have to be done, and they are a little bit disbalanced. But I think it's possible very much to change it into that direction, and that's where I'm looking a lot into that direction, and which I would like to change as well. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. We have time for one more question. No? Are there any aspects of your presentation, because of course we have the time crunch, that you weren't quite able to fully dive into that you would like to now maybe briefly mention?
I think it's more about how do we work with the artificial intelligence, not just as a tool, but also as a team member, because there are a lot of aspects we regard it a lot just like a new software or something upcoming that we can use. But I think we saw from another industries, especially it's in military industry or another ones that are involving a lot of human communication, that it happens that different AIs are built in the way that they're becoming as a team member that can take already give some suggestions, take some decisions and play a role as a team member rather than just somebody bringing new information and new paper and just mixing previous stuff that it had. That would be quite interesting, and that's an aspect that also is of my curiosity.
Very interesting. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much once again for your time.
Thank you.